Hello, and welcome to the beginning of something that either will die in the abyss of the internet or will eventually grow to become something that a vast and wide ranging internet community can enjoy. My name is Kobe Blair, and I'll be your host for the foreseeable future. This is the Guardian Party. The Guardian Party is my own personal headcanon political party that does not exist, but maybe one day it will. We are here, and you're probably thinking, what the hell is this? But you've probably already clicked off. So, this is a sort of, I guess you'd call this a podcast. Maybe you wouldn't call it a podcast. I don't know, because it's not recorded live. Do podcasts have to be recorded live? Maybe they don't. This one's not. But what I'll be doing is I'll mainly be focusing on politics, but I will talk about whatever I want. If anyone bothers to watch this and has questions or like ideas, I will follow them because I will run out of ideas very soon. I hope to make this a daily thing. I definitely will miss days, and I'll probably not do anything on holidays because I have better things to do. But this is an idea I've had for a long time. And I figured that for the first episode, since this is going to be mainly politics, focus, current events, my thoughts, whatever, that we would do something a little fun. So I have two quizzes that I'm going to take, and they are both from brainfall.com, obviously a trusted source. They are both, how Democrat/Republican are you? And then the only difference is one of them is the 2020 version, which somehow has 20 less questions. Illuminati confirmed. Alright, so the first one, which I believe is older since it's not labeled 2020, and also I see on the sidebar there's another quiz called How Democrat Are You? So I guess that just says you're not Democrat. I don't know. I'm not going to take that one because it sounds really boring. So, question 1 of the first quiz. Do you believe a higher tax rate for the wealthiest 1% would strengthen the economy? Well, let's read through the options first. There are 4 options here. Option 1, the top 1% need to pay much more in taxes. Option 2, the rich should pay less taxes so that they can create more jobs. Option 3, both rich and the poor should all pay 15% across the board. My God, that sounds horrible. I'm not picking that option. Option 4. Did I say option 4? I don't know. Option 4. I haven't said the 4th option, but I'm going to ignore that. Option 4. We cannot afford to do anything drastic. A small increase is fine. Okay. So, taxes. Taxes are always a frustrating topic because really taxes are very boring. Like, let's be real. Taxes are boring to talk about, but they're also incredibly important. And really, it's a very hard debate. It's a very hard debate because there are kind of good points on both sides. I totally agree with the sentiment that if you have millions of dollars, you're not going to miss a few. But at the same time, technically they already pay more. They don't pay a higher rate. Well, actually, no. I don't know enough about the federal tax system. I believe they do pay a higher rate, but this question is, should we raise it higher? Regardless of that, let me explain what I'm trying to say here. If everyone was taxed at a flat rate, people with higher incomes would still be paying more money in taxes. If you make $100 a week or $10 million a week, that money will be taxed even if it's at the same percentage rate. It will be taxed at that rate. And because it is a rate and not just a set amount, like it's not, all right, we're taking $100 out of your taxes every month. We're taking 5% of whatever you make. So rich people will be paying more no matter what. So this is very hard. I don't believe they need to be paying much more. Because I'm going to be real. I think that it is fair that some people have more money than others. Now, you have to clarify that because at the same time, I also believe that there is no excuse for poverty in America. I don't care if somebody goes around with Jeff Bezos' pockets, but we do need. I'm not saying we need to close the income gap. I don't believe the income gap matters. I believe what matters is where the floor is. You can have an income gap as wide as the moon for all I care, but I'll be concerned when that floor, when the poor people and the working class and the middle class, when their floor is like struggling to get by, that's not okay. Ideally, if it's possible, the poorest people would not have to be like the poor people in a third world country. The poor people here in America need to be able, there needs to be some way for them to not only get over the poverty line, but we need to just have a general standard that that kind of stuff shouldn't happen. Because we've had 230 years to figure out how to run a country. We've had ups, we've had downs, and we need to figure something out. The options, we're cutting out the everybody pays 15% across the board, even though that's technically fair. It's also really, really high, especially for poor people. I would not pay 15% income tax. I would never do that. That sounds horrible. So we're cutting that option out. The rich should pay less taxes so they can create more jobs. That's an interesting idea. The only question is, I don't know if that would really mean that they can create new jobs. Like, is it really going to cause any actual difference? I don't know. So I'm going to go with the fourth and last option here. We cannot afford to do anything drastic. A small increase is fine. I don't believe we should make them pay 89% income tax. Like, that's, I don't think even Bernie Sanders would go that far. Like, that would just, if I was a super rich person, if I was like the Donald Trump of the world, I would be ready to move to Canada if that happened. Not because I want to hoard money, but because that's just ridiculous. So that was my response to the first question, and this has taken 5 minutes. So these are going to go on for a while, which I'm okay with that. If you want to listen to that and you think I'm an entertaining person, and I know you can't see me, but I'm gorgeous to look at, then you can stick around. So, question 2. Where do you stand on the Supreme Court's ruling to legalize same-sex marriage at the federal level? The options are, the decision should be overturned. I fully support the ruling, and I disagree with the decision, but still support the ruling. That third option doesn't make sense. How do you disagree with the ruling, but that doesn't make sense. I agree with the ruling, but I don't support. If you reverse that, it doesn't make sense. So I'm not even going to consider that. Just yes or no. Same-sex marriage is the only laws. Laws against that were only there for religious reasons because the Bible and the Quran only the Bible, because all those laws in America were only based on the Bible because we did. I don't know if we had low populations of Muslims and other religions, or if it was just the fact that we didn't care, because for a long time we didn't care, and you could argue we still don't care. Those were for only religious reasons, and there should be a separation of church and state, and just for that reason alone, the federal government has no government has a right to tell you who you can go in bed with. So I fully support the ruling. Next, if elected president, okay, apparently I'm running. If elected the president, would you advocate raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour nationwide? All right. Options. 1. $15 an hour is way too high. These are supposed to be entry-level jobs for teenagers. Oh, that's weird. Option 2. $15 an hour is only realistic in major cities. I say $12 an hour. How is that really that much better? Option 3. $15 an hour is barely scraping the surface. We need major change now. Okay. And then option 4, we should abolish the minimum wage. Okay. Minimum wage is an interesting idea because I can kind of see both sides of it. Because, yes, if you're going to work in America, you should be able to not have to have 4 jobs and like a babysitting career to get by and to raise your family. Unless, of course, you're blowing all your money on crack cocaine, which will make you have to do that. But we're assuming that people aren't doing that. Um, the argument is, say you raise the minimum wage. Okay, what happens if your employer can't afford it? If you work for, say, a small business and the minimum wage gets raised, um, if it's a struggling small business a little bit, and or if it gets raised by a lot, regardless of the nuances, if your employer cannot afford to hire you, they are going to cut you or they're going to give you less hours, and that will just hurt you in the long run because you'll either break even or you'll make less, likely. So that is one argument. Another argument is that, let's see. God, my brain is just like dying right now because I've been talking for like 12 minutes straight. I have a little timer that tells me how long. It's not 12 minutes yet. It's 11:22. um, it will raise the cost of living. So, for example, say we raise the minimum wage, and then Walmart now has to pay, say, $20 an hour to all of its workers. That's fine. I'm sure Walmart can definitely afford to do that. But what's Walmart probably going to do? They're probably going to say, all right, gallon of milk, that'd be $3.99. And it's like, well, you got more money now, so you can pay for it. So the best case scenario when that happens is nothing really changed. We just have more inflation. So we definitely shouldn't abolish the minimum wage. Honestly, I think we should leave it the way it is, and we should instead focus on getting more opportunities to get jobs and growing the like economy, which like everyone supports growing the economy because like that's like the one phrase that both Democrats and Republicans always use. It's like, I'm gonna grow the economy, and everyone's like, whoa, I've been waiting my life for somebody to say that to me. Oh my god, yes. And people act like it's a revelation when literally everyone has promised for that to happen. But it's true. All right. So I'm just gonna say it's way too high. I don't agree with the sentiment that it's for entry-level jobs for teenagers, because even if you work at McDonald's, McDonald's is not a horrible job, and people that look down on like older people that work at McDonald's are just crappy people because, one, they're serving the community, and two, it's not a bad job. It's really not. And if you're gonna look down on people like that, then stop eating there because you're depending on us. I work at McDonald's. All right. So, question 4. Oh, okay. Computer problems for a moment. All right. Do we need to maintain our current levels of military spending in order to protect the nation? Option 1, the security of our nation is our chief concern, whatever it costs. Option 2, we should cut spending and take a backseat role in foreign affairs. Option 3, we should eliminate waste, but we cannot relax our presence overseas. Option 4, we should radically reduce military spending. Here's my take. We spend, I believe, about or over $500 billion every year on the military. Well, I absolutely believe that we need to always, until the end of time, have the strongest military on planet Earth. I don't believe we need to be spending that every year on it. And I feel that the best thing that we could do is to figure out how much money we need to keep giving it in order to keep it sustained, but the rest cut out. We do need to get out of like all these foreign conflicts. Like, we should not be in Afghanistan. I don't care how many of the Taliban are there. Just let them be. Let them shoot each other. Like, Americans should not continue to be dying. Like, Osama bin Laden is like in his grave smiling. Well, no, he's not even in a grave. He's in the ocean. He's like in the ocean in like the belly of a whale, and he's like smiling, and there's like gunshots in his head because we shot him to death, and he's like going, ha ha ha, I thought I only killed like 2 or 3 thousand of them on that one day in 2001, but look, I've killed like 100,000 more of them when they came over to all these countries and started shooting women and children and everybody else trying to find me. And we haven't accomplished anything. It's been literally my entire life we've been in Afghanistan sacrificing young American men and women for really nothing. Like, if we can't go in there and within 6 months just kill them all, and I'm referring to the terrorists, of course, not like to the normal people there, then we should just get out. So we should cut spending and take a backseat role in foreign affairs. Other than ensuring that China doesn't go anywhere, that is my belief totally. How would you approach the issue of border security and the USA's swelling illegal immigrant population? 1. Deport all illegal immigrants. 2. Allow amnesty for illegals in good standing. 3. Tighten security but no mass deportations. 4. We need to work towards a path of citizenship, but only for those who work hard and prove themselves. And 5, which we have a 5th option, it's like, whoa, if you break the law by entering the country, you should be kicked out. So that option 5 is essentially the same as option 1. It's just rephrased. So this is a tough issue because I get it. There are a lot of people who are good people who came here to flee like the crappy countries they came from. And yes, they are not the best countries. Mexico is like run by the drug cartels. And it's a similar situation in like Guatemala and Belize and El Salvador and Nicaragua and those Central American countries. That's not a comment about the people. Don't you dare think I'm racist, because I'm not. I'm the least racist person you've ever met. Literally. But we can't have people just coming over, because we need to be able to make sure that they are those good people. I have no problem if somebody from Mexico or whatever wants to come into the country. But if they don't do it legally, then we can't verify that they are that minority of them that are the coyotes, the actual bad hombres, as Donald Trump put it. Which the reason I laugh at that is because whenever he talks about anything, whether it's serious or not, it's low-key kind of hilarious to me, because I just find the way he speaks to be hilarious. Regardless, we need to have a control on it, because there are instances where there are people that come over the border illegally who are very, very bad people and who like kill people and rob and commit all these actual other crimes. And we need to have that sort of control. So we definitely need to tighten security. In terms of like the people who are already here, if they are good people and like they're not committing other crimes, I would definitely consider a path to citizenship. But before we start doing that, we have to make sure we have put a stop on like all these people coming over, because there really are a lot of people coming over. It's like a ship, right? And you're taking in water. Before you can figure out, what to do with the water you have in the ship, you have to stop getting more water in. So my philosophy is we need to stop the surge, and then we can figure out what the best thing is to do. If they have committed crimes, then we should immediately remove them. If not, then we can think about maybe amnestying them, giving them, say, hey, if you want to go back, you can do that. If not, meet these criteria and we'll let you in as a citizen. Don't do it again. So tighten security but no mass deportations. I'm kind of I guess that's sort of a middle of the road. In order to balance the budget, what programs would you cut? 1, military. 2, welfare. 3, Obamacare. That was unexpected. 4, Environmental Protection Agency. 5, I would increase taxes to raise money. Out of those, the first is the military. Then it would be Obamacare, because I just feel like that wasn't the best option. All right, question 7. Would you support a constitutional amendment banning abortion at the federal level? Ooh, now we're getting into the thick of it. I do understand what people mean when it's like my body, my choice. I understand that. I don't want to force any woman to have a child. I completely understand that. But at the same time, I can't go with that option. And I can't do that because I do believe that life starts inside the womb. And you can say, okay, well, it's not fair to me. It's not fair that I should have to do this. And you're right. It's not. But it's also not fair to the child within the womb. And you can't take a life that does not deserve to be taken. And when you're a child, you can't do anything to lose your right to life, the way I see it. So, with possible exceptions, with threat to the life of the mother, I believe abortion should be against the law. But before I would ban abortion, I would rework the child care and foster care system so that when you do have the child, you can know that that child is going to have a chance at a better life, because those systems are really screwed up right now. And we need to, before we start just like making orphanages overrun with all these babies, actually get there to be a system that works for those babies. So the best option, the closest race to my view, is I believe abortion should be against the law. I don't know if we'd have to go all the way to constitutional amendment. I don't even think that would get passed through the ratification process, but that's the closest option I have. Do you believe the government has any authority to regulate gun manufacturing and ownership? Absolutely not. I'm not even going to read the options. Here's the deal. Gun rights are important to everyone. If you're a woman and you're in a dark alleyway or like a dark street and there's like a towering dude, hopefully he's a nice guy. Maybe he's not a nice guy. And you're going to feel safer if you have a Glock than if you have pepper spray. Like, let's be real. If somebody who looks like The Rock, but like with like a big scar and he's like looking evil, comes at you, you don't know what he's going to do. And if he's going to come up to you and hurt you, or God forbid, rape or anything like that, even if you are like one of those pacifist people, you're going to want to just blow his face off. And you should have the right to do that. That is my argument for the right to defense. Additionally, what is the first thing that tyrants do? Or, let me rephrase that. What is the one thing that puts in common people like Hitler and Stalin and all these other people that killed millions of people? They took away the guns. Why? Because when you have an armed populace that has guns, then the government cannot effectively destroy everyone with horrible ideas like the Holocaust, because you can destroy the government. I full-heartedly believe in that. I believe that other than universal background checks, there really shouldn't be any restrictions on firearm ownership, because guns aren't the problem. It is people who are the problem. And you're going to see crime go down if all the innocent people start carrying a gun and they, use it when they have to. And hopefully they won't have to. But the fact of the matter is, we don't live in a perfect world, and there are bad people out there who are going to do bad things. And the only solution is to make sure that you can defend yourself. So the government has no right to do any of that. As president, I'm running again apparently. What steps would you take to help reduce crime in poverty-stricken communities? 1, invest in education. 2, heighten police presence. 3, decriminalize drug possession. 4, cut welfare and entitlement perks. I will definitely decriminalize drug possession, because unless you're going to sell it, I don't feel like you should go to jail for having drugs. Especially if you have an addiction, like, you shouldn't go to jail for that. I'd rather do like a rehab to like help you get off the drugs, because the drugs will suck away your money and your livelihood. I'd also invest in education, but the best thing would be to decriminalize drug possession, but don't encourage drug use. Question 10. This is going to take forever. What is the biggest threat facing the nation today? 1. Climate change. 2. Illegal immigration. 3. ISIS and global terrorism. Well, ISIS doesn't really exist anymore. 4. Wealth inequality. 5. Civil rights. I mean, it's not... The biggest threat, I would say, is, like, China. China, in my opinion, is the biggest threat. They're, like... The Chinese Communist Party are literally a bunch of Nazis. Like, they're not Nazis, but they're just as bad, if not worse. They're horrible people running that country. And I feel so bad for the people that have to live under them because they are so abused. And China is the biggest threat. But out of these, I'm just going to say illegal immigration. Climate change is close to that, which there might be questions about that. I can talk about that eventually. But China would be my preferred answer. Do you think a travel ban from Muslim-majority countries is necessary to keep the nation safe? I don't... Okay. I don't believe that the criteria should be, are there a bunch of Muslims here? It should be, are there a bunch of terrorists here? There's an argument for it. It definitely shouldn't just be, oh, Muslims, get them out! No. But it should be, okay, this country has like 30 different terrorist groups running in it, and there's like thousands of people in each of them. You got to be able to determine what's what. So the options are, I don't like it, but it's necessary. That's probably going to be the one I'm going to go for. Keep the ban until we figure out what's going on. I'm gonna go with that one. The other ones are, it's unconstitutional, and the other one is making us less safe. The fourth one, I don't understand how it can make us less safe, and the third one, it's not unconstitutional. So I'm gonna go with number 2. Keep the ban until we figure out what's going on. Would a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border also help? The answer is yes, no change. What do you mean no change? Like it wouldn't. Okay, so it's yes, it would help. It wouldn't make a difference, or no, it would make the problem worse. I guess that's how I interpret that. I don't see how it could make the problem worse. I don't understand how that would happen. If the wall was secure, then yes, it would force people who are trying to cross the border illegally to consider other methods, which we could then develop other solutions for. Again, it goes back to, we have to stop the tide before we do with the rest of the water. Next. In your opinion, which of the following is a reliable source of news? MSNBC, the New York Times, CNN, the Wall Street Journal, or Fox News? I believe that all mainstream media is pretty bad. I get my news from Timothy Poole, otherwise known as Timcast. I kind of trust him, and I don't know, I just kind of like his personality. Out of these, I'd say Wall Street Journal, just because that's the one I like the most. Fox News is just as bad as NBC. CNN likes to pretend it's not biased, but it's totally biased. Fox News is totally biased. MSNBC is totally biased. And all three of those are totally responsible for the partisan divide we have in this country. And it's horrible. And they should feel ashamed of themselves. And it's not just because some of them rag on Trump. It's also because the Trump news people rag on Democrats in unfair ways. Like, it goes both ways. And it's a huge problem. Who is your political hero of the past? Andrew Jackson. Oh, okay. Andrew Jackson, excuse me. Bill Clinton, FDR, or Ronald Reagan. Honestly, it's none of them. Andrew Jackson, he had some good ideas, but then he decided, hey, let's kill all the Native Americans. So he's out of the running there. Bill Clinton, I mean, he signed NAFTA, and that didn't really work out too well. And then he also, decided to be a total pervert, and he's a pedophile. Thank you, Jeffrey Epstein. That's not creepy at all. So, yeah, the Clintons are definitely not it. FDR, he was the World War II president. He was president for 12 years. God, he was in there for a while. Or was it longer than that? He was president for a long time, over a decade. He was, I believe, our only crippled president as well. He was I don't dislike him. of like the Democrats, I'd say that my favorite presidents would be JFK and then him. I don't know why everyone likes JFK. I can't really even say anything that he did. He was just cool. He said we should go to the moon. That's what he did. I like JFK, but that's beside the point. FDR or Ronald Reagan. I mean, I'm just gonna go with Reagan because I mean I don't know. It's really close between Reagan and FDR, but I wouldn't really go with either of them. I'd say I mean I were it would be Thomas Jefferson if we're going like all the way back. Um, I do like Ross Perot. I thought that he definitely should have won the. I wish that he won the '92 election because then we could at least look and see what his ideas would have done because he had some, I think, really good ideas, and I think would have been better than Bill Clinton or George Bush. Um, but those aren't options here, so I'm going to go with Reagan. I'm not like some Reagan worshiper. What should the new Republican administration do about Obamacare? So I assume that's referring to Donald Trump. Repeal first, then replace. Replace first, then repeal. Keep it or increase funding. The healthcare situation, it's a mess. I don't believe we should go like the socialist route because I don't think that'll work well in the end. But at the same time, you shouldn't be charged like $10,000 because you got an ambulance called on you. You shouldn't feel like you can't go to the doctor for medical care because you're going to get burdened with all these charges. So that does need to be regulated. I just think there's a better option than socialism. So I'll say repeal then replace because I don't think that when Obamacare is implemented, I don't think it really changed all that much. So repeal then replace, but definitely have a plan to replace. I mean, okay, this is kind of an outdated question, really. Well, I guess it's not. I don't know. Moving on. Question 16. We've been going at this for a while now. How do we bring jobs back to the USA? 1. Deregulate the private sector. 2. Tax corporations for taking jobs overseas. 3. Invest in infrastructure education. 4. Retrain workers. 1 and 2, I think. I'm just going to say deregulate because you need to have people willing to invest in order to create jobs. And the more regulations there are, as long as, obviously we're talking about regulations that aren't common sense, like you can't have child laborers, like that's a regulation we should keep because you shouldn't do that. That's not really okay. But, there are some regulations that maybe, we could look at trimming them down. I think that could help bring jobs back. In my opinion, it's all about getting business people to be willing to invest, and then that will make them hire. That will create more wealth. Then you'll draw more people as more wealth. Then you have more money they want to spend. Yeah. Choose a city to hold your next party fundraiser. What kind of question is this? Like, this question doesn't have anything to do with this. The options are Dallas, Denver, New York City, or San Diego. I mean, does it matter? Like, what? This doesn't... New York, I guess. I've always wanted to know what that place looks like. Question 18. Do you think those with mental illnesses should be allowed to purchase firearms? Option 1. It is every American's right. Option 2. No, that's insane. And option 3. No opinion. Well, there's two extremes here. It depends on what the mental illness is. If you're someone who has depression, that's not an excuse in my opinion. I'm gonna go with no opinion, but the clarity here. If you're someone who has been diagnosed by a professional and they say that you have an illness that makes you likely to be violent or unstable in a violent way and that you have a higher chance of hurting someone, then yes. That is the other thing that I think we should limit guns on, because if you have an unstable individual, then if they need treatment, then maybe we shouldn't give them guns. Next question. Question 19. This is such a slow website. Do workers' unions strengthen the middle class or hinder job growth? Unions promote laziness. I don't think they promote laziness. I feel they can help. I know that there have been some arguments that there have been a few select unions who have been really super corrupt. I don't think unions should be, forced to exist. I don't think they should be like mandatory to be in them. So I'm just going to say the middle option here, which is unions need to be monitored. The other options are unions are the backbone of the middle class and unions promote laziness. They have a place, but they do need to be regulated as a lot of things do. Next, question 20. If appointed Secretary of Education, would you repeal affirmative action? Ooh, all right. The questions are no, it's necessary to promote equality. Yes, it's a form of racism. Or 3, I'm not sure. That's a tricky subject. Well, I mean, that is true. But here's the deal. Affirmative action, if you don't know, it's this policy where, from my understanding, certain colleges or other like academic institutions would essentially try to, in the name of giving like a hand up, try to get more minorities and less traditionally accepted groups into these institutions with the idea that we're going to help them, we're going to get them educated, it'd be beneficial in the long run. While I'm all for everyone getting educated, I believe that in the society that we should look not at color. And so it is a form of racism. If you are looking at someone and saying, all right, you're black, you're going to come into these colleges, we're going to, let you come in more easy than someone who like has the same credentials but they're white or Asian or something like that, then that is racism, even though it benefits people who traditionally were the ones who were the victims of racism. So yes, it's a form of racism. The better things to do, I feel like, is just find ways to give more people who are from poorer communities, whether they're black or white, because there are, even in areas that are really poor, and there are white people that live there too. There are Hispanics. There are whatever. Every division of person, there's somebody there who's super poor, and we need to have more options so that they have ways to get out of poverty that don't unfairly categorize them based on their race or other factors like that. Which current politician's views most align with your own? Mike Pence, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, and Mitch McConnell. My God, what a selection there. All right, let's go from the bottom up. Mitch McConnell, I don't really like him. Mitch McConnell is the Hillary Clinton of the Republican Party. He's old and he just never goes away. Cory Booker, I honestly don't know enough about him to speak, so I'm going to ignore him. Bernie Sanders, he's kind of cool, I guess. I don't think he's yet to convince me. I've recently listened to some like speeches he gave, and it was like, yeah, he got a point. He hasn't convinced me yet, but I am willing to give him an open mind. And then Mike Pence, I really don't care about Mike Pence. Mike Pence is just he's kind of boring. I don't really care. I mean, I'm just going to say Mike Pence because I kind of like most of the things that Trump has done. So I assume that he has the same view as Trump, I guess. But if you combined like Trump and Bernie Sanders and like, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln, then you'd maybe have me. I don't know. I'm discovering myself. I don't consider myself a Republican. I do consider myself to be somewhat conservative, but I'm also very progressive in a few areas, which you may slowly discover if you bother to listen. So, question 22. How do you feel about climate change? I don't believe it's the most... Okay, the 3 options. It's the most important issue of our times. 2, it's overhyped. Or 3, it's a hoax. Well, it's not a hoax. I don't believe anyone really believes that, except maybe Trump, because he said windmills give cancer, which is a really stupid comment. Like, who said what? That makes no sense. Is it the most important issue of our times? Maybe. I feel that climate change can be resolved by just investing in nuclear energy. Because I feel that would be an easy solution, I'm just going to go with the middle and say it's overhyped, because I believe we can solve it fairly easily. And I don't believe that we're going to like all be destroyed soon. Like I don't. In like 1989, I saw a picture of this newspaper article. It's from 1989, and it's like around the year 2000. Ooh, the climate change is gonna catch up with us. Orlando's gonna be underwater, and it's like that didn't happen. I'm not discounting the science. I'm just saying that I think that we need more research. But I'm not an expert, so I'm just gonna go with the middle of the road option. Question 23. We're almost done. Should corporations face tax penalties for moving jobs overseas? I would say yes, absolutely, because the idea is, I believe the American government should first and foremost try to give the maximum benefit to the American workers. The more companies we have here at home, the more people can get employed, the more people can make money. So absolutely yes. That should be, I think that's the fair way to punish them. It creates incentive. So yes, moving on. Question 24. If it will ever load. Excuse me. Why do I have the hiccups? The hiccups. There we go. How does your political party try to win elections? Okay, this is a weird question. 1, promising to cut taxes. 2, low voter turnout. Oh, God, that's so sad. 3, engaging millennials and first-time voters. Or 4, nonstop fundraising. 3 and 4 are Democrat. I mean, if it were me, I would promise to cut taxes, but I'd also try to engage young people because I feel like the Democratic Party has too much of a hold on young people, and the Republican Party needs to change because they're too stodgy and old and, like, weird to last very much longer. So there needs to be a change in both the parties. So I'm just going to say cut taxes because I feel like we should do the best to make life better for the average American. Oh, God, it didn't load again. This is awkward. All right. Choose a subset of the electorate whom you believe is being persecuted. Ooh, this is interesting. 1, working class whites. 2, women, LGBTQ, and people of color. 3, conservative Christians. 4, the mentally ill. Being persecuted by what? Like systemic factors? Obviously, for every one of these groups, on an individual basis, there are people who persecute these people. But those are a minority of people and they're individuals. I assume this question is speaking about a general societal topic. I feel that on a large part, women aren't very much persecuted. Maybe in some small ways. I feel like most people have been fairly accepting of LGBTQ at this point. People of color, I think we have a couple more things to work on there. But that's a debate. I'm not ready to get into that yet. Working class whites, I mean, not persecuted. I feel like, I'm going to go with the mentally ill because there's still a lot of stigma with that. But this is a question that I would just abstain from at this point. If elected to Congress, would you push for a large infrastructure bill? Everybody always talks about an infrastructure bill. What is that going to do? Like, I'd rather push for, like, gerrymandering reform or other, like, topics that no one wants to talk about because they don't want to admit that they're all in it. I mean, sure, why not? Build the roads! Build the roads! How should the U.S. government engage foreign leaders and diplomats? 1, I love the way this is phrased. Ignore them. Time to worry about America. What? 2, shoot first, ask questions later. 3, show respect, speak softly. Okay. Show respect and speak softly, and here's why. At all times, we should try to maintain peace. However, if situations come to it, and we are forced, when we go to war hard, and we kill you dead. Next. Of the following countries, who do you believe is our strongest ally? 1, Great Britain. 2, Australia. 3, France. 4, Israel. I really don't think any of these are on... Like, I don't really care. Like, does it matter? Like... I mean, Israel likes us a lot because we, like, defend them from everything. I'm just going to go with Great Britain because, like, traditionally, This is a question that I don't feel is important. Like the one where it's like, what city do you want to go to? If you had to vote third party, whom would you align yourself with? Libertarian. That's it. Libertarian. I'm not even going to elaborate. Question 30. Who do you believe is the rightful heir to Antonin Scalia's Supreme Court seat? Neil Gorsuch, Merrick Garland, or neither? All right. Story time. The Republicans made a mistake. Or they didn't make a mistake, they did something wrong. When they refused to let Merrick Garland have like a confirmation, that was wrong. Even though I don't know about really what Merrick Garland's views were, but I assume that Merrick is they're still alive. Merrick is a liberal, but I don't feel like that should matter because it was Obama's duty to appoint a justice, and it was the Senate's duty to look at the justice and say, "All right, you're qualified. Get on the court." So they should have went with Garland. Or they should have had a hearing, and if they didn't want him, say bye-bye. But what the Republicans did when they were like, all right, we're not even going to, we're going to ignore you, that wasn't okay. With that being said, it was proper of them to put Barrett through because it was Trump's duty to nominate, and it was their duty to put her in if she was qualified, and she was qualified. So, consistent answer. So, I mean, I guess I'll say Garland to recognize that I think that was wrong, but I don't feel that Gorsuch is somehow, ineligible because it's not his fault. Alright, that was the last question. Oh my god, this took way too long. Alright. Let's click to get your result. Oh, take the short survey. Alright, I'm filling out a survey now. Blah 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 blah. Oh, you're gonna make me fill it out, aren't you? Oh, I hate you. I hate these surveys. Hurry up. Alright. You are 42% Democrat and 58% Republican. Oh, hold on. You are a moderate conservative. I mean, that's cool, I guess. I lean to the right, but I am a conservative who understands the benefits of compromise, and I know how to reach across the aisle to make progress. I believe in limited government, low taxes, and a strong military, but when it comes to social issues, I might not align with the party. Okay, cool. That's interesting. All right. We've already been here this long. If you've listened to this, I'm going to take the last quiz. I did not think it would take that long. The 2020 quiz. All right. How do you feel about the new United States Supreme Court nominee, Amy Coney Barrett? The options are, I love her, I hate her, she's fine, or I really don't like her. I mean, she's fine. I don't really have an opinion. She has the legal experience to qualify, so I don't see any reason why she shouldn't be on the court. I don't, really care at all. Question 2. Each political party feels differently about the current president. How do you feel about Donald Trump? Options are, I think he's done a pretty good job. I can't stand him, I don't like him, or I love him and I'm voting for him again. I don't love Donald Trump. I like several things about him. I like how he's anti-establishment. I feel like, for better or worse, he was a change that maybe we needed and we can learn from. And, yeah, so I'm just going to go with, I think he's done a pretty good job. Question 3. How do you feel about Joe Biden? Joe Biden. Nobody likes Joe Biden. Nobody really likes Joe Biden. I'm sorry, Joe. It ain't happening with that. Joe Biden, he is racist. He is, I think, mentally ill, and he's definitely a puppet. So the options are he's pretty good, he's too centrist, he's totally incompetent, and a radical leftist. I don't like him, but we've had worse. I mean, yeah, we had Andrew Johnson. But I'm just going to say he's totally incompetent. I don't feel like he's a radical leftist. I feel like he just has no backbone. So, Joe Biden is not the... the 2020 election wouldn't be such a nightmare if we had somebody up there who... I wish it had been Trump versus Sanders or like Trump versus Tulsi Gabbard or somebody like that. Not Joe Biden. Ugh. Keep the record player on at night. Make sure the kids hear words. Like, Joe, go home and learn about roaches. What do you think about how the United States government has handled the COVID-19 pandemic? One, we shut down too much. It's been horrible for the economy. That's true. We've seen a lot of small businesses get really hurt. I saw this video. There's this woman, and she was crying because she lived in, I think, L.A. or like Sacramento, somewhere in California. And the mayor and the governor had imposed lockdown orders on her restaurant. And she had an outdoor patio, but they said, no, that's too dangerous. But in her parking lot, they allowed a movie company to set up an outdoor patio and said it was legal. And she was crying and she was doing this and she's saying this is not fair, and that's totally correct. So we definitely have to look at that. I think we've handled it decently well. I'm a little disappointed in how we've handled it, or we've done a terrible job and we should have done more to protect people. I'm going to say we've shut down too much because it has been horrible for the economy and for a lot of people. I don't feel like we should have shut down. Maybe like mask requirements and like distancing, but not total shutdowns. I don't feel that was necessary. Because really, it's only been getting worse. All right, next. What part of the Constitution is most important to you? The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, or life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? The whole Constitution is important. But I'll go with the Second Amendment because the Second Amendment should allow the country to protect the whole Constitution. Next, question 6. Each political party feels differently about universal health care. What's your stance? 1, we need universal health care, no exceptions. 2, health care should be more accessible, but I don't think universal health care is practical. 3, I think universal health care is a pretty good idea. And 4, it's a terrible idea. People shouldn't get handled like that. I agree totally with number 2. Healthcare should be more accessible, definitely. But I don't think that doing it the universal way is practical. I heard an argument once. It said healthcare can be 2 of 3 things. It can be affordable, it can be quality, or it can be universal. So you can have universal quality healthcare, but you can't afford it. You can have affordable quality healthcare, but it can't be universal. You can have affordable and universal healthcare, but it will be crap healthcare. I don't know how true that is, but it is an interesting argument. I feel that we should maybe have regulation that says, all right, for necessary treatments like cancer treatments, emergency surgeries, stuff that like you pretty much have to do to stay healthy, hospitals cannot charge more than like 1% more profit of the cost that it takes to break even. Essentially, they shouldn't be charging you to get a profit. They should be charging you to break even and then just enough to like have a little bit over to like pay the people. You shouldn't be charged like $20,000 to get a surgery. You should be charged what it costs them to do the surgery, with obviously, hopefully, health insurance in there to help you out. All right, question 7. What other country do you think we should be more like? Nowhere. America is the best. That is the first option I saw, and that's the one I'm going with. We need to improve things here and not try to look everywhere else. We need to bring us to a better point and always improve ourselves because we can always do better. Even if we're the best, we can do better. When Obama was in office, how did you feel when he was president? He did a terrible job, he did a great job, he did a good job, but he could have done more. I didn't like his policies. I didn't like the individual mandate. That was crap. He did, I think, pretty bad with foreign policy. He gave literally a plane load of cash to Iran. That was not good. Is it Iran or Iran? I don't care. I don't care. Anyway, I'm going to say I didn't like his policies. He could have done better. He wasn't a horrible president. He definitely wasn't the worst. Definitely not. Just not my favorite. Which of these members of Congress do you like best? 1, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. 2, Teddy Cruz. 3, Chuck Schumer. 4, Mitt Romney. I don't like any of them. You could have run anyone against Mitt Romney, and he would have lost Chuck Schumer is just kind of sad and he doesn't do anything. And the same for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz literally just started copying what Donald Trump said in the debates, and that's how he lasted so long, but he hasn't done much else for like anyone, question mark. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and they misspelled her name on this quiz. Well, I guess I just kind of figured that she doesn't do much either. She also did this thing where she told Amazon not to invest in her constituency because screw Amazon, and then that effectively took like tens of thousands of millions of dollars out of the hands of her constituents. So real good job there. I don't really like any one of these. I'm just going to go with Ted Cruz because I feel like he's kind of more interesting, I guess. Mitt Romney is like the worst, though. I hate Mitt Romney. He's so sad. All right, the last question. Did you ever feel conflicted about the 2020 election? The options are no, I always knew I would vote for Trump. No, once Biden was the nominee, I knew I would vote for him. Did anyone say that? No. 3, yes, I was disappointed when Biden turned out to be the nominee and I considered not voting. That's what most people did. And 4, I felt a little torn between Biden and Trump for a little while. Here's the deal. If it had not been Joe Biden, then I would have maybe been more conflicted. But it was Joe Biden. And so I definitely was going to do, I definitely wanted to do Trump again. Because Trump, love him or hate him, he did do a fairly good job with a lot of stuff. And I'm sure we can get into that later. But Joe Biden, no. Oh, why am I have to take another survey? I'm crying. I am crying. Why? I'm not crying. I'm just angry. I'm not angry. I'm just annoyed. I'm frustrated, Monica. All right, you are a full-on Republican, 12%. And okay, well, here's the problem. This only dealt with like very contemporary issues, which I guess that's what it was supposed to do. But it's interesting. I don't consider myself really a Republican. I definitely am not a Democrat because I do have conservative ideals like small government, freedom. Really, I'm a form of libertarian. But I feel that I am, most importantly, anti-establishment. When you have an election and you're doing a Republican versus a Democrat, I don't feel that you're making any significant choice there. You're not. Really, I mean, we've gone back and forth for the past 100 years between Democrats in power, Republicans in power. Democrats, Republicans. And where has it got us? It hasn't gotten us anywhere. We had 8 years of George Bush the baby, and the baby in terms of the son. And that caused us to get into a horrible long war because Dick Cheney should be executed for the lies that he told about the WMDs. But I guess nobody cares about Dick Cheney. He has a very applicable name because he's a horrible person. A warmonger and a freak. Then we had 8 years of Obama, and he didn't do any better. And before both of them, we had 8 years of Bill Clinton, and he didn't really do too much. And then we had 4 years of George Bush the daddy, and he didn't do too much. And we had 8 years of Reagan, and other than pulling off a stunning win in the '84 election against Walter Mondale, he didn't really do all that great either. Really, I am dissatisfied with both parties. The Democrats, I feel, have generally not so great policies, and the Republicans don't do anything. Literally, the Democrats are like, all right, we're going to do X. The Republicans say, no, you can't do that. That's not okay. And then the Democrats are like, what are you going to do about it? And the Republicans are like, I'll get back to you on that. And then nothing happens. That's how it always happens. You elect a Republican, they don't really do anything. You elect a Democrat, they do things that I don't think help anybody. So that is the issue. And I feel that we need a third party that will say, hey, Our goal is to fight for the American people. Our goal is to get in there and do change. We're not about this bureaucratic red tape, take 40 years to figure out what we're going to do about an issue. We're about solutions, we're about innovation, and we're about doing things right now to help us right now and to help our children in the future. And that's what we need. And that is why you are listening to the Guardian Party. The Guardian Party is, in my head, the version of this party that I am praying will somehow be created within my lifetime to break the stupid two-party system. We need a change, and no one is giving it to us. So, this is my outlet to talk about the change that I think that we need to see. As I said in the very beginning of this long-winded recording, if you have any ideas or suggestions or questions or things for me to talk about, give it to me. I'm ready. I can handle it. I can take it. Bring it, please. I am ready. So, for the 0.3 people that listen to this, and hopefully if this ever takes off, we'll get some more people coming around to listen to this. Thank you. Feel free to comment. I will be creating an email address if you have any questions that you really want to get out there in an official way that I will see. I'll create that maybe in the next edition. I will plug that. But yes, I have been Kobe Blair. I currently am Kobe Blair, and for the foreseeable future, I shall be Kobe Blair. And this was your Guardian.